Southeast Michigan Podcast. Welcome back to another edition of the show. The Southeast Michigan Podcast, of course, is free and available wherever you watch or listen. On YouTube, you can click the bell for notifications, subscribe there, and please, if you'd be so kind, leave a review of the show on whatever platform you use. All the social media links will be in the description box below. If you want to hit me up on Twitter/X, want to hit me up on Facebook, like Facebook. Facebook, we got the group page there for more discourse and chit chat. What a weekend! What a beautiful, beautiful weekend. It was a chilly one, but it was absolutely beautiful. But Daniel back with you, and I really do thank those who tune in when they can. We have gotten to about a year and a half now, almost 2 years, and the show's growing. I know the Spotify rap thing is happening pretty soon, and it was very humbling to see the analytics, as this thing has kind of gone on, seeing all the countries that we've reached. I never thought it would be possible, but very very thankful for y'all. This episode, we're gonna look at Ohio State, Michigan going to Columbus for a second straight time and winning, this time 13-10. They muddied the waters and they came out. I was about to say champions. They definitely didn't come out champions, but they came out victorious, and it was glorious. But we'll get into the game, and then we will do something fun. We are going to read some tweets, or what do you call it, X posts from our favorite people over there in Columbus and even East Lansing. That'll be segment 2. Stay tuned for that. So it's gonna be that's gonna be pretty funny. So Michigan 13, Ohio State 10. In the year that was somewhat forgettable, turned into a memorable one with a nice consolation prize in a matter of a few hours. Last week I told you there was a weird, instinctive gut type feeling that this streak over Ohio State would continue to four. Just had that. I'm like, man, I think I can't rule it out. Can't rule it out. However, once Loveland was confirmed to be absent, I was a little hesitant in putting money on the game. There was the uncertainty kind of crept in. Still felt like Michigan was probably going to win. It was just enough to like pull me off. And I'm like, man, because I think the money line on Monday or Tuesday was like plus 1,100. And I'm like, man, do I lay 100 bones on it right now and walk away $1,000 richer? And I didn't do it. I kicked myself. That is the only regret I have, from this past weekend, was I didn't put my money down. And so either way, the Buckeye tears is still very satisfying. And again, the state of Ohio, complete disarray. And it's been Nirvana twice over. The Twitter receipts and the social media posts, as I mentioned already, have not been disappointing, and I can't wait till we get into segment 2. It's gonna be fun. Let's start with revisiting my keys to a hopeful and eventual Michigan win on Saturday. I listed 5 of them last week. Let's tune in, see where I was at. So key number 1 was field position. I called back to the 2016 game where Michigan lost in Columbus in overtime, but controlled majority of that ball game, pinning OSU deep. And that game was really. I was still salty about that one. Michigan should have won that one. They didn't get the calls. They didn't get the breaks, and they shot themselves in their foot a few times. And Ohio State pulled it out. And so you win some, you lose some, and that one, of course, you wish you had back. And the Jim Harbaugh era could look vastly different if they win that one. Who knows the trickle effect after that. So in 2016 regulation, the Buckeyes started their drives in this order. So they started their first drive on their own 8-yard line, then 11, then 25 after a touchback. They're 4, they're 20, they're 25 after a kickoff. They're 2-yard line, another 25 post kickoff. Michigan 13 after a Wilton Spate interception. Their own 16, 37, and 18. So a large portion of that game spent inside their 20-yard line. And, of course, Wilton Spate throws a pick six, throws another interception right there. So basically, Wilton Spate spotted those boys 14 points. In 2014, this past Saturday, Ohio State started on their own 31, 3, 25, 7, 25 after a kickoff. Their own 6, Michigan's 47, Michigan's 16 after a pick. Their own 12, but after another Davis Warren interception. And then 25 after the final kickoff, the final field goal for their kickoff. So not as consistent, but they spent time in their own shadow of their own goalposts for this game. So that was huge, right? Ironic thing is Ohio State kicker Tyler Dubin in 2016 also missed 2 field goals. So I thought that was kind of cool. Key number 2, keep Will Howard in the pocket and take him down early. Neither team recorded a sack, but Michigan's defensive tackles Kenneth Grant scored an 85 PFF grade, and Mason Graham scored an 88.7. Grant did have 5 pressures. Mason Graham scored a 90.9 in run defense, and I believe those were pretty much league leaders. Rayshon Benny and Derek Moore get credit with batting a pass down. So, you're kind of hoping that, Kenneth Grant was going to be able to disrupt a pass or two in the throwing lanes with a paw up there, maybe even a field goal. The last, really, I mean, the entire Jim Harbaugh tenure, but a lot got turned up in 2021 up till now with blocking kicks, blocking punts. Been very solid on special teams, whether it's on offense or defense. And it was kind of cool to see Rayshon Benny and Derek Moore get their mitts on something there. Key number 3, red zone defense versus Ohio State. Ohio State entered the red zone 44 times this season prior to the game last Saturday. They scored on 41 of those, with 37 being touchdowns. So very efficient in the red zone. Michigan forced them to settle for 3, but they ended up missing 2 of them. So the lone touchdown Jeremiah Smith had, I thought should have been called back for OPI. Thought it was pretty blatant. Also thought Smith got away with the penalty for shoving Michigan assistant Lamar Morgan on the sideline. Jair Hill and Jeremiah Smith kind of got tied up in like a clinch, and they were pushing and shoving each other until they got out of bounds. And yeah, we'll revisit that as well in the let's say my version of mean tweets. This would be imbecile tweets or stupid tweets, moronic tweets. But, Lamar Morgan tries to help Jeremiah Smith up because the guys got tangled up down there on the sideline, and Jeremiah Smith was not having it, pushed Lamar Morgan away. And I believe that situation ended up having 2 offsetting penalties, which in this case I thought there should have been 2 for 1 there, but ultimately, it didn't really throw a monkey wrench into the game, long term. So, yeah, Michigan did well defensively in the red zone, even with getting put in some horrible positions, right? Horrible setups. Key 4, getting ahead early. Ohio State has started several games slow this year. Michigan didn't quite get as many points as they would have liked. However, heading into the half, knotted at 10, that was a win in its own. Michigan could have gotten the halftime. I mentioned this last week too. If they would have gotten down by a field goal, tie ball game, we're going to have that was crucial. If it was 17-10, 20-10, boy oh boy, would that felt like a miracle. like we would have needed a miracle. All right, key 5. Best game plan from the coaching staff and clicking on all cylinders. Okay, got to have your career games as a coordinator. As a coach, ducks in a row, have to take care of business. Michigan can frustrate many of us fans with the run, pass format Kirk Campbell calls, but in this game they used it to their advantage. Michigan was able to churn 3.5 to 4 yards per carry and milk the clock. Until Khalil Mullings had that almost game clincher of a run on 3rd and 6 for 27 yards, he was 31 carries for 89 yards, which was good enough for 2.7 per carry. Not great, but he came through when it mattered. Late in the first quarter, Orgy ripped off a 25-yard run or so, which I tilted my head at because it looked like he slowed down when he got to that second level. The drive unfortunately ended in turnover on downs, but the ensuing drive, Will Howard threw his first pick. So the run game was more of a timely success rather than consistently. But, um, you know, I thought coming out throwing the ball a little bit was there kind of a relief. Davis Warren rolled out to his right late in the game and hit Peyton O'Leary on a sideline grab, which just was like shades of Julian Edelman from the 28 to 3 Super Bowl dub comeback from win against the Falcons. Like shoelace grab, like Peyton O'Leary came up huge there. But Warren, like I said, threw 2 picks. I thought, man, well, I guess we'll get to that in a second. But I thought, at least for the coaching staff perspective, I thought they put those boys in positions to succeed. And like I said, the run pass does get a little redundant, does get a little boring, annoying, all the rest. But if you're going forward and you're not taking yourself into a lot of negative plays and situations, then at the end of the day, it worked. All right, so really that's it for the keys. Now more on the game itself. The 11-play, 9-minute drive that ended in Warren tossing the pick to Jack Sawyer was a gut punch. That moment in time, I felt like that was right before the dam opened up. I felt like, that crowd wasn't like that crowd got taken out of it really early, and it was just kind of um, rather than like a roller coaster of like the who's and the hows and the yip and the ass. It was just kind of like flat. Michigan's going back and forth with Ohio State. They're mucking it up. There was probably more booze than anything, but I felt like once Davis Warren threw that pick like that, because I mean, man, if he just would have thrown that with a little bit more loft, that was a touchdown. Um, man, that was like I just looked at my buddy Jeff and I said, I don't know. I think that might have been it. Nonetheless, they stiffened up and they hung in there. But the boys stuck together and held to the Ohio State 3-and-out to follow that up, which then Michigan squeezed out another 5.5 minutes of clock to chip the field goal for the go-ahead. Dominic Zavada should never have to buy a beer in Ann Arbor again. Absolute money. That wind was whipping up there on the field. It's ice cold. It's probably like kicking a brick out there, a cinder block, whatever you want to call it. Zavada, to the end of time. Thank you. James Turner last year. Thank you. The year before that, Jake Moody. Thank you. Michigan has had very, very good choices in special team in the kicking. And Tommy Doman, the punter, did a phenomenal job. Right, the field position battle isn't won by itself. They have to kick the ball in those positions, and that 68-yard punt that Tommy Doman had was clutch. So special teams has been in Michigan's wheelhouse for quite some time, and very thankful for that. Now regarding the Ohio State, let's see here. Now regarding the Ohio State side, this game was bizarre in the face in the fact that Chip Kelly or Ryan Day continuously played into Michigan's advantage. I was befuddled. Um, Michigan has one of the best front seven units in the country, even despite the record, and Ohio State just repeatedly attempted to run up the gut. I'm not sure if this was talked about a lot on sports radio today, whether it was Detroit sports radio or Cleveland or Columbus radio. Like, we're not sure if like Ryan Day's ego got the best of him and just wanted to show the world that they are in fact tougher, the more physical team. But it was an absolute coaching malpractice to not utilize his perimeter playmakers. Um, a lot of the second half stats looked the way they did because Michigan squeezed the air out of the ball for so long. I mean, they literally soaked up a lot of that clock. Like Ohio State barely had it. I don't think they had a first down in the second half. If they did it all, it might have been one. So when you see Jeremiah Smith, he only had he didn't have any targets in the second half, or he had one target, so whatever, just because they just didn't have the opportunities. But when they did, they decided to run the ball up the gut. It was truly baffling, and yeah, I just don't know if Ryan Day was just is just that stubborn, or Michigan is clearly in his head. The dude is just a psychopath. Um, but that drive that led to their only touchdown right before half. I mean, that was a 9-play, 75-yard drive under 2 minutes. I believe it was a minute 45 to be exact. The more tempo or more up tempo style made me nervous on potentially what was going to come. When they moved right down the field and scored, I know teams in certain situations will, on defense will play a little bit softer because they want to play, want to bend, don't break, and they don't want to give up the big play. They don't want to give up the touchdown. They'll bite the bullet and take maybe surrendering 3 points. But Ohio State just moved right down the field, and I'm like, yeah. And so between that and the Warren interception to Jack Sawyer, like that was like where, like, man, Ohio State's gonna come out in the third quarter and just start taking and running away with it, and they didn't. It's just very, very odd. Let's see what else. Another huge blunder. I put on here blunder. Another huge blunder was Ryan Day trying to burn a timeout back to back when Michigan ran a play off the 2-minute warning, and he noticed an illegal substitution. That gave Michigan an automatic first down since you can't call back to back timeouts. Joe Klatt made a comment about that. So Michigan was at like 3rd and goal or 3rd and 2, and you have an assignment or a personnel issue, and then you just give Michigan a freebie there. So take that take that all day. Of course, the Buckeyes still have a whole lot of playoff bracket to run through. This season is not a loss completely in reality, but to them, they just lost the Super Bowl. I don't think he's in danger, Ryan Day. I don't think he's in danger for his job realistically, but the fan base is calling for his head. I mean, as soon as that clock was 0-0, I mean, it's this. Let's see here. Yeah, I got. I'll get to that in a second. I do think whoever made the final decision for that for the lead play caller on Saturday, they either got to get demoted or at minimum reevaluate the entire scheme, right? So whether Chip Kelly was calling the plays full blownsies, or if they were splitting the duties, or if Ryan was full time, I don't know, but in their case, changes have to be made. As a Michigan fan, running that shit every day. We'll take it. Thank you. Ryan Day's contract buyout is $37 million. Not cheap. Someone might pony up the dough though. Donor might come in and they might work on something. I don't know, but the short list. Buckeye fans have been touting. It's got Luke Fickell's name on it, Mike Vrabel. Even Urban Meyer to come back. I highly doubt Fickell would work. He's not really. I know Wisconsin may or may not have the same resources Ohio State does, but We'll see how he does here with this. Is what, his third year coming up in 2025, fourth year max. They just got Carter Smith, the former Michigan commit, but um, I don't think Vrabel will do it. Read somewhere where Mike Vrabel isn't a big fan of recruiting for college, so that might be something. And he's a younger guy still. I feel like he still has a good chance to get an NFL head coaching job this offseason. There's at least 9 teams that are needing a new HC. Raiders are one of them, my team. And as a Raiders fan, my number one is the offensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson. Number 2, Mike Vrabel. Now, okay. All right, now let's get into the aftermath. Okay, so the end of the game, Ohio State, no matter what the game is, they roll over to their side of the field, sing "Kumbaya," and then they go to the tunnel. Michigan on their sideline, play the opposite end zone. Play the opposite end zone. Over there, right where the Michigan band is at, hooing and hollering, slapping, high fives, dapping, whatever. And the rest is history. But before we get into when the flag was planted, Ohio State linebacker Jack Sawyer was talking all kinds of mad shit leading up to, during, and after the game. Okay, I watched a video of Alejandro Zuniga posted of the Michigan players running onto the field for, it looked like, warm-ups before the game actually started, and all the Buckeye players are standing there waiting for them, just chirping at them. So you walk in underneath the stands, and you're along the sidelines, and you have actual boundary right there, and you got security, you got Ohio State staff, maybe Michigan staff, and you got the players running along the staff, kind of playing like security, and then you have like the first row of the stands, and they were running along there to go to their side of the field, and you got Ohio State guys like right there, just calling Michigan players everything under the sun. Fine, right? It's just boys being boys. And you got some of the Ohio State staff. You can see that they're smiling underneath their winter mask that they got on, or you tell that they're giggling about it, right? Now, a Buckeye fan was also seen spitting on Wolverines walking back into the tunnel at one point. Patrick Barron posted online a picture he took of the person doing so. So, the reason why I say all that is you already know, kind of like contextually, like what the environment's like. Listening to the radio this morning on 97.1 The Ticket, and John Jansen saying that he was there with his daughter, and he basically said, "Hey, let me go in first into the booth, and you go in separately with security," because fans were throwing things, saying things, spitting things, like it's like Mad Max out there. So we already got tensions on full alert, okay? So go back to the when the game was over. Ohio State players, their side, Michigan's on their side, right? Michigan carries their flag with the blue field, the block Maze M on it, and they plant it on the 50. Not a Buckeye in sight, right? The Buckeyes are all the way on their side of the field. Mid song, they're all sitting there, kumbaya, sulking, bitter, upset, and most notably, you see Jack Sawyer turn around and confront Michigan. Like, turns around and just beelines right to the flag, and then all of a sudden it's like 20 players, 30 players maybe. Buckeyes tear down the flagpole, a brawl ensues. I want to say the first thing I seen watching it for the first time live, I remember seeing Cameron Brandt from Michigan, number 91, basically just spear a Ohio State player, and I mean it was just pandemonium after that. Police officers looked to have only maced Wolverines for some reason. You know, they're out there spraying bear mace on Michigan players to break it up. And this is kind of also going on simultaneously as Mason Graham is in an interview with Jenny Taft. Jenny Taft is on the field with Sharon Moore, and then she asked Sharon Moore a question, and Sharon Moore basically you know uh, plugs the Michigan mantra of this is why you come to Michigan right here, 3-0, 3-0. He's like, talk to him, and then he dips. And then right when Mason Graham is like finishing up his third sentence, and you see all the people behind him scuffling around, he turns, he leaves. Jenny Tav is like caught in the mosh pit, if you want to call it that. And you see um, that's basically the last time you see Mason Graham until you catch him. When it's kind of died down a little bit, Jack Sawyer's walking away chirping, and Mason Graham called him, "Excuse my language, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse my language." Called Jack Sawyer a pussy, and Jack Sawyer said something along the lines of, "Your season's over today. Blah blah. Your season's done." And the one fascinating thing here is while the skirmish has started and ended, Ryan Day is just standing there, not trying to do anything to help resolve the issue. There's a video clip of him just standing there, and he asks, you can read his lips, he says, "What happened?" Just standing there asking one of his players, and no one gives him an answer. It looks like they just keep walking away. He's just standing there, befuddled. Um, I didn't want, I couldn't show it to you, whatever, because the person who took the video, whatever, was asked by Bleacher Report if they could share it on their socials, and he told them no. But there's a video of a guy in the field. He's got a camera, and he's walking directly behind Ryan Day, and Ryan Day is just watching this whole thing take place, and just taking a stroll in the woods, and just kind of like walking around like he's in Narnia or something. I don't know what it was, but it was quite interesting to see him just, I don't know, not like there's a fight going on. And so, of course, both schools are fined 100,000. I'm not sure why both get ripped the same amount. It seems like Michigan had every right to rub it in. If you don't want a flag plant on your field, stop it during the game. Texas did it earlier in the year to Michigan in Ann Arbor, and Michigan kept walking in the locker room. We're going to revisit that later as well. Um, Baker Mayfield was asked during his post-game press conference with the overtime victory over the Carolina Panthers yesterday. Basically said, he's like, Oklahoma, Texas, we do it all the time. He's like, you don't want it to happen to you, don't lose. It's a big boy game. It's football. So a lot of these victims over here are just pissing and moaning about it. And it's like, again, it wasn't like Denzel Ward was standing right next to Mason Graham, and Kenneth Grant comes out of nowhere and puts it right between them, whatever, and then a fight breaks out or whatever. It's like, you guys were over there singing Kumbaya. We were over here celebrating because we won, and we plant our flag here, and then now you're showing all the fight in the world when you couldn't stop us on it during an actual football game. And also, before we get into segment 2, shout out to Jason Avant, who was the one who fought to get the flag back. There was several Ohio State players that picked up the flag because Jack Sawyer ended up getting a hold of it and basically threw it like a trident. And I forget the kid's name, but the cornerback for Ohio State, Igbino's son, he was an Ole Miss transfer, I believe, a couple years ago. And he tried picking it up, whatever, and Jason Avant ran over there and ripped it out of his hands. Jason Avant is a silent reporter for Michigan radio, and nobody could really tell who it was because he's got a mask on from being the cold. Everyone wears the gaiters or whatever, and he's all bundled up, whatever. So you can't even really tell who it is, and he looks a little bit smaller from his playing days, whatever. He probably doesn't have to bulk out anymore, but. Shout out to Jason Avant getting the flag back because he gets pushed around a couple times by some of those Ohio State players, but it was wild. I think a lot of people are overreacting, a little soft, and like I said, we'll get into the imbecile tweets in just a second. So, yeah, don't go nowhere. What's up, Southeast Michigan Podcast? When our community wins with us, we want to ensure you've maximized your ROI. Line shopping for the best odds matters, and that is why any profitable sports bettor needs to be using multiple sports books. Thankfully, there has never been a better time to get signed up, and we are here to connect you with the best promotions industry-wide. Using our link, signupexpert.com/southeast, you can get access to all sports books in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique features. Most importantly, this page automatically connects you to the top promotions at each book, allowing you to start line shopping with an enhanced bankroll. If you want to take advantage of these benefits, like Fanatic Sportsbook right now, bet and get up to $1,000 in bonus bets, then please consider signing up for the next book at signupexpert.com/southeast. All right, let's get into segment 2. So segment 2, we are going to do a kind of bit of a new segment. Don't have an official name for it, but like I said earlier, something along the lines of imbecile tweets, mentally ill tweets, something. Now, let's have some fun with it. So we're going to revisit some receipts over the last few years, about as relevant up at, probably since this morning. So it's December 2nd, almost 9 p.m. Eastern. Let's check in on our lovely fan base over in East Lansing. Yes, I said East Lansing, and Ohio State in Columbus. So, shall we begin? Now, if you're watching, and follow along with me as we take a look at these nut jobs. So here, John J.R. Rhodes, fans are giving up. Players are giving up. No wonder why they had to cheat to win something. And this is in regards to Colson Loveland. Pessimism about his availability on the Saturday game versus Ohio State. That was at 7 p.m. on November 29th. Over here, Mr. Ohio. The gif with Vincent Smith getting obliterated from Jadeveon Clowney. Buckeyes are about to destroy Michigan. Of course, we have the MX out because we're cool like that. Over here, Sam Block, who I don't think is an actual person. I don't think many of us do. I think this is an AI bot or some sort of, somewhere in Russia, some Russia collusion bot. I don't know. He goes on July 16th, 2022. In 1902, Michigan beat Ohio State by a score of 86-0. For 120 years, Ryan Day has been thinking about this loss, losing sleep over this loss, and waiting for 2022 to get his revenge. Give me the Buckeyes 87-0 over the Wolverines this November. Next up, on November 25th, 2023, Ben Wellick Baldwin run a poll. It's about to be pandemonium in Ann Arbor, arguably one of the biggest rivalry week games ever. Ohio State 11-0, Michigan 11-0. The cheating scandal. Can Ryan Day outcoach Harbaugh and have the Buckeyes beat the Wolverines? 41% said Buckeyes by 7, which was the most in his poll, which only 12 people voted for. Next up, just some dude. On December 1st, Ryan Day should be fired. He has destroyed what Tressel and Urban has built. 4 straight losses to Michigan. No Big Ten title since 2020. 2-4 in bowl games and 1-3 record in the CFP. He cannot mentally handle being the Ohio State Buckeyes football head coach. Walker Carey on November 30th, 2024. That Ohio State team losing to that Michigan team is the worst loss in the history of the rivalry. There is no way Ryan Day can continue as Ohio State's head coach unless the Buckeyes somehow win the national title this season. From it looks like a Michigan fan here. Interesting and hilarious stats coming post the game. Ryan Day before yesterday, 47-0 against unranked teams. First one comes against a 6-5 unranked Michigan team. By the time Ohio State gets another shot at Big Brother, it'll have been over 2,100 days since Oh No beat Michigan. Then you got a picture here from the Bunch of Nuts podcast with a black and white picture of Will Howard. He's coming, ton. He is coming. Hold on 1 second. All right, back at it. Another one from the Ghosts of Christmas Past, Sam Block. On August 25th, 2024, my Will Howard season predictions: 4,675 passing yards, 51 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 578 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns. Not gonna lie, the rushing touchdowns was pretty close, almost on point. He had 7. 1-0 versus Michigan, Heisman Trophy winner, Big Ten champion, and national champion. Oof. This one is one from Lynn's Breezy. When you see this lady's avatar, you know you're about to read some of the most stupid-ass shit in world history. In response to Kirk Herbstreit, I think any conference commissioner who had a team or teams involved in the postgame fights owes it to his conference and the sport of CFB to study the film very closely and set anyone who is involved in being an aggressor to help escalate the situation, sit those involved for their next game, whether it's bowl game or playoff game. These dudes need consequences for their own good. And our lovely Lindsay goes, what? Absolutely not. Ohio State was defending their turf. They don't deserve to be suspended. Daily MSU, the guy that just keeps on giving more regurgitated, repugnant nonsense. Sick to my stomach. Michigan was trash this year and still found a way to beat OSU. At the same time, we should have beat Michigan. So this shows you how close MSU is. Ohio versus the world. It just hurts, man. You fall in love with these players when they've been there for 4 years and you really want it for them, and they fail 4 times. Jack, Mech, Trey, Williams, DB, Simon, JTT, Ransom, etc. You guys are not losers. You guys balled all 4 years. These things happen in an amazing rivalry. Tough when it happens to you. Yeah, I instantly think of like Mario Manningham, Chad Henne, Mike, Adrian Arrington. Yeah, guys like that. Scott Bell did a phenomenal job here with Dave Biddle. Dave Biddle's a radio guy somewhere in BFE, Ohio. These are hilarious, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Let's read these. So Dave Biddle, September 21st. Oh well, November 30th is going to be rough on the Wolverines. Very. 9-7. What cigar should I smoke after Ohio State beats Michigan on November 25th? Feel free to name more than one. August 7th. Talk is cheap. That bill is coming due November 26th, 2022. Sorry, August 7th, 2022. So he's been doing this for a while. September 4th, 21. I've been saying take the under on 7.5 wins for Michigan this season, 12-game regular season, but could see them getting to 8-4 this year, 9-3 at best, with a loss to Ohio State, that's for sure. Buckeye Fett, love you, Will, but we literally do not care, in response to, we're going to regroup, go into the playoffs, and make a run. Let me get a drink of water. We're not done yet. Oh, Pat Caputo has the morning show or weekend show on 97.1. Shows up to work wearing a pillowcase as a hoodie. Usually full of wonderful insight from an MSU mind. Saturday night. Don't know whose brilliant idea was try to plant the flag. It wasn't necessary. Michigan already did that with its victory. The Wolverines have won more than any college football team, the preferred option would have been to act like it. Another MSU dork, Dr. Green and White. Isn't it weird how in the Big Ten it's always the same team? When was the last time there was even a semi-serious incident involving a Big Ten team where Michigan was involved? No, really, I am curious. I mean, did Iowa and Wisconsin throw down once and I missed it? 2021, you almost put a dude in a hospital for jumping him in the tunnel. This past year, your guy headbutted Colson Loveland, didn't like getting pushed back, and then you guys acted like fools again. Or this time, Michigan planted a flag nowhere near an Ohio State affiliated person, and y'all got butt hurt. Next, MSC. Winning this game is actually worst case scenario for Michigan. 1, it doesn't change Michigan's season at all. 2, doesn't change OSU's season at all. 3, Ryan Day is likely fired. Kyle Lamb. I'm old school. If you beat me, I'll shake your hand and turn away and go back to my team. You want to plant flags and try to embarrass me on my field? I'll rip that flag out of your hands and do exactly what Jack Sawyer did. Have some class if you expect it in return. Sparty World. All of these post-game brawls continue to have one particular program involved. Michigan is a problem. Plain and simple. How brain dead can you be? Oh, look at Daily MSU back for another. Michigan can't stop getting in fights, but I'm sure they'll have some excuse and won't take any accountability for it. Ghost of Christmas Past here again, Sam Block. Abuka came back to beat Michigan. Travion came back to beat Michigan. JT came back to beat Michigan. Sawyer came back to beat Michigan. D. Burke came back to beat Michigan. Ransom came back to beat Michigan. Cody Simon came back to beat Michigan. Ohio State versus Michigan at noon. L. The Bunch of Nuts podcast. Absolutely loving the unhinged energy from Michigan fans this week. They know the end is near and are in complete denial on November 27th. Walker Carey. That Ohio State team losing to that Michigan team is the worst loss in the history of the rivalry. There is no way Ryan Day can continue as Ohio State's head coach unless the Buckeyes somehow win the national title this season. I think I already read that one, and I don't care, but that is hilarious. Just some dude again. Ryan Day should be fired. He destroyed what Tressel and Urban has built. 4 straight losses to Michigan. No Big Ten titles since 2020. 2-4 in bowl games. And 1-3 in the CFP. I did read this one, but I'm going to read it again. He cannot mentally handle being the Ohio State Buckeyes head football coach. And, ladies and gentlemen, I got one more for you. We end tonight with Aaron Barrera on Facebook. I don't know if this is a satire account. There is a comedian tag in his profile, but it is straight up nonsense. Here it is. Here's our finale. Investigation into Fielding is a must. Fielding is the Ohio State kicker who missed 2 field goals on Saturday. I'm just asking for a complete investigation into Jaden Fielding's call logs and text messages weeks up to the game. This missed chip shot is clearly a foul almost rehearsed. I have seen too much this season. I will not be silent anymore. Game tampering cannot be tolerated. Ohio State was clearly winning yesterday's game, making Michigan play Ohio State football. Personally, I had every Michigan fan I know message me this during the game. They know it. I know it. Ohio State fan wins that game if untampered, but that's not what happened. Once again, Ohio versus the world. One fed up Buckeye. Ladies and gentlemen, Imbecile Tweets, edition number 1. And there you have it. That is where this fan base, those fan bases, find themselves in complete uncertainty. Their mental computers just cannot crunch the numbers in any way but an asterisk somehow. Thought it was pretty funny to go through that. Before we go, 4 years in a row, right? This is awesome. Again, the only thing that I kick myself is not laying the mortgage payment on the money line. I really, man, really wish I did that, but nonetheless, the tears are sweet, sweeter than ever. We will find out after this weekend what bowl game Michigan goes to. We'll of course talk about that. We'll catch back up with basketball and hockey. Um, it looks like if Michigan does go to the Music City Bowl, I think that's on December 29th at like 2:30 or something. What day is that? I think I heard Ira Weintraub say that on 10:50 this morning. The 29th, that's a Sunday. I think he said either the 28th or the 29th, so it'd be either a Saturday or Sunday. Um, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I know it wouldn't be very prestigious, but like if they go to the Motor City Bowl, whatever, it's an easy drive to go watch a bowl game, probably for not a lot of money. But anyways, I'm not gonna be mad if any of those guys sit out. The Ohio State game was the bowl game, and to see the aftermath and the fallout in the wake of this has just been absolutely crazy and entertaining. Ohio State season's still not over with. They can run the playoff, they can run and get the national championship, and even with a national championship, fans are still saying that it's going to be not tainted, but there's going to be an unfinished business feel to it. They're not going to feel their tummies aren't going to feel full, their hearts aren't going to feel full, knowing they still lost this game. Next year, it's back in Ann Arbor. We'll see. Really at the end of the year, who's staying, who's going. Transfer portal is going to be open up soon. The national signing day is in a few days. Uh, Ty Haywood, a five-star offensive line commit for Bama, is supposed to be flipping to Michigan. So Michigan could easily creep into that top five class overall, depending on what site you look at. Most people look at On3 now, but nonetheless, it was a heck of a day. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, all the social media will be in the description box below, and I will talk to you guys next time. Go Blue. Peace.